Okay, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Little, hello again. Um, so as Dr. Little said, things are kind of coming out piecemeal this fall as far as test data. So what we decided to do is release some of this stuff as it came out so that you guys could see it as it was released and be updated. So just a couple real quick things. We were supposed to have end of course data by this time, but Florence delayed that plan at the state level, and so those will be shared at the next meeting. So what I'll be sharing with you tonight are SC Ready and SC Pass scores for this past year. So as a reminder, SC Ready is our math and English language arts assessment for the state. It's given to grades 3 through 8. And as you recall, the grade 3 ELA test, the reading portion of it, is used to determine that grade 3 retention thing for Read to Succeed. And then SC Pass is our science and social studies assessment. And that is administered, this is new this year, to alternating grades beginning in grade 4. So grades 4, 6, and 8 will take science, and then 5 and 7 took social studies. So in an effort to simplify this, I divided, so the SC Ready scores come in 4 categories: not met, approaches, met, and exceeds standard. Okay, so I've divided this basically into 2: those who meet our grade level standards and those who did not, so something below met. So the meets plus is the area where we're talking about here. So these are students who met or exceeded grade level standard. And so for all our grades in ELA, 49.3% of our students met or exceeded standards, which is 8.1 points higher than the state's rate. For math, that value was 51.4%, which was about 7.4% points higher than the state. For ELA, if we look at it at trends over time and across grades, we have a 3-year trend here. So you can see that things pretty much in all grades kind of took a dip last year and then popped back up. Something that you probably need to know, and if you remember, this year was the first year they decided to do online testing in 2017. Okay, that was the first year we implemented that. Last year, we requested a waiver for grade 3 on that test. And so we got a little bit more of a jump there last year, and people got used to testing online. Now you can see that in some grades we have a little bit of a downward trend there that we need to be aware of and cognizant of and try to address that issue at that grade level. For math, here's the 3-year trend across grades. So this, again, this is the percent meeting or exceeding standard. So you can see the trends across grades. Now we're talking about SC Pass. So this is where things get a little bit confused. Science is using the same scale as ELA and math. That is new this year. And so they're using the 4-point scale, whereas, so the does not meet, approaches, meets, and exceeds. So again, we're looking at meets and higher here, and that's 56.9%, which is 8.1 points higher than the state. And then for social studies, they're using the old Pass 3-point scale, so not met, met, and exemplary. Okay, so what we're looking at here is met and higher. So that's part of the reason why this is so much bigger, because this met basically includes 2 categories from the 3-point or 4-point scale that science uses. So in social studies, we had 76.3% of our students met or exceeded standard, which is 8.1 points higher than the state. Trends across years, again, I only included 2 years because they changed that scale from the 3-point scale to the 4-point scale last year. And so, or excuse me, I keep saying last year, in 2017. And so we're looking at similar values here for 2 years in science. And again, I only compared those grades that were tested last year so that we were comparing apples to apples there. And then here we go, grades 5 and 7, social studies over 3 years. This is the percent met or exemplary. So we're hovering right around 75 in grade 5, and there's a little bit more variability in grade 7, but again, around 75, 74, 75 there across those grades, across those years. And that is my update. Now, further on, as things get released, we'll be bringing to you end of course tests for the 8th grade and high school. We'll be bringing to you SAT and ACT. And then later in November, when those are released, we'll be bringing to you report card values, because this year we are getting school level ratings for report cards.
I do want to remind the board, as you're looking at these numbers, just keep in mind that they changed the standards just a couple years ago. And so what has happened is, as you raise the standards really high, you have a time where the score, all the scores drop. And I don't know if this is just me, but this has literally happened in every school district I have ever been in. Just like a year or two into my leadership of whatever it is, they've changed the standards, and you're like, really? Like now? That's what you want to do this? But I just want to highlight again, a couple years ago, they changed the standards. And so what happened is everybody's scores went from the 70s, 80s, and 90s really low, and we're making our way back. And so I think what you're seeing there is that a lot of positive trends from last year, and we're going to continue to move that forward. I will tell you that my perspective on these tests, it's more of a temperature. We want to take the temperature. Are we moving in the right direction? By and large, we are moving in the right direction. We want to continue to provide rigorous and relevant and really dynamic learning experiences for our children. But I also don't want to say that these tests, we're going to live and by these tests, because we know as educators that learning takes place much also the other 179 days that we're in school, not just on the day that they're testing. And so we're just using this as a temperature gauge, and where are we moving in the right direction? We continue to move in the right direction. I think you see that across the board on our stuff. Would you agree with that, Dr. Phillips?
I would agree with that, yes. And I would also bring up the point that in addition to standards changing, we're now we had scale changes on the test. We had mode changes on the test with online testing. And so once all those things get evened out, you're going to see things kind of level out as far as the variability but among years. And hopefully what you'll start to see is a more consistent kind of look across years and in a trend sort of mode.
In fact, was this year the first year they've had the same test back to back, but the modality changed?
It's the first year under the same scale. So on SC Ready now, they're using a vertical scale across grades. So now we can, in a more quantitative fashion, measure growth from, for example, grade 3 to grade 4 on that test. In the past, what you had was, did they move categories? Well, a kid does not meet standard in grade 3, and they could be really low, and they could move a ton and still does not meet. And we had no way of really knowing that because the scales were different at each grade level. But now that they've done a vertical scale on that, we can say they went from here to here, and that's a good amount of growth.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions for me? Okay, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.